Imagine this. You are standing on a public street in the United States. A man in a dark blue uniform walks towards you. He does not have a regular badge. He has gold stars on his collar. He is not just an officer. He is a police captain. He looks you in the eye and gives you a direct order. And you look right back at him and you say no. What happens next? Is it just a small disagreement between two people? Is it something you can walk away from? Or does that single moment, that one word, that one refusal change everything about your night, your future, your record, and possibly your freedom? Today, we are going to answer that question completely, slowly, deeply, with real examples, because this is not a simple topic. This is about law, power, rights, consequences, and the fine line between standing up for yourself and destroying your own life. Stay with me. Every word of this matters. Before we talk about disobeying, we need to understand exactly who we are talking about, because a police captain is not just a cop with a fancier uniform. The rank matters enormously in the American law enforcement system. In the United States, most police departments follow a structured chain of command. At the bottom, you have patrol officers, the ones you see driving around in police cars every day. Above them are detectives, then sergeants, then lieutenants, and then the captain. A captain typically oversees an entire precinct, division, or district. They are responsible for dozens, sometimes hundreds of officers. They have the authority to set policies, manage investigations, and make major decisions in the field during active situations. Think of it this way. If a regular patrol officer is like a soldier on the ground, a captain is like the commander of the base. They carry enormous institutional power. And that power does not just exist inside the police department. It reaches into the streets, into interactions with civilians, into courtrooms. Now, here's what makes this important for you as a civilian. A police captain, just like any sworn law enforcement officer in the United States, has the legal authority to give lawful orders to members of the public. The key word there, and hold on to this word, is lawful. Not every order is lawful. Not every command must be obeyed, but many must be, and the consequences of refusing depend entirely on which type of order you are refusing. This is the most important section of this entire video. This is where most people make fatal mistakes, not because they are bad people, but because they do not understand the law. Let us now talk about lawful orders first. A lawful order is a command given by a police officer, including a captain, that is within the boundaries of the law and the Constitution of the United States. Examples of lawful orders include telling you to step back from a crime scene, instructing you to put your hands where they can be seen, ordering you to stop walking so they can conduct a brief investigatory stop, what the law calls a Terry stop, or telling you to leave an area that has been declared a restricted zone for public safety reasons. If you disobey a lawful order from any police officer, whether that officer is a rookie or a captain, you can be arrested immediately. You can be charged with a crime. In most states, refusing to comply with a lawful police order is a misdemeanor. That means it goes on your criminal record. It can affect your job. It can affect your immigration status if you are not a citizen. It can be used against you in future legal proceedings. Now let's talk about unlawful orders. Not every command a police officer gives you is legally binding. This is where your constitutional rights come in. For example, a police officer, even a captain, cannot legally order you to stop recording them in a public space. Recording police activity in public is protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. If a captain tells you to stop filming and you refuse, you are not breaking the law. They are. You have the right to stand firm. Courts across the country have repeatedly upheld this right. Another example, a police officer cannot legally order you to consent to a search of your car, your home, or your person without a warrant or legal justification. You have the right to say, calmly and clearly, "I do not consent to a search." That is not disobedience. That is the exercise of your Fourth Amendment right. The line between these two, lawful and unlawful, is the most important thing you will learn from this video, because crossing it in the wrong direction can cost you everything. Let us now walk through exactly what happens, step by step, when you disobey a police captain's order in a real situation. We'll use a real-world scenario so you can see clearly how this unfolds. Scenario 1. A protest is happening downtown. A police captain steps forward and announces through a megaphone that this gathering has been declared an unlawful assembly and that everyone must disperse within 5 minutes. Most people begin to leave, but you stay. You believe your First Amendment rights are being violated. You refuse to move. What happens? The captain gives a final warning, officers move in, you are placed under arrest. Not violently, but firmly. You are handcuffed and taken to the precinct. You are charged with failure to disperse, which is in many states is a misdemeanor, sometimes a low-level felony if it's your second offense. You spend the night in a holding cell. You are released on bail the next morning. You now have a court date. You hire a lawyer. The case may eventually be dismissed, and in many cases of peaceful protests they are, but you have already lost time, money, and mental peace. Scenario 2. You were driving, and a police captain who was supervising a checkpoint stops your car. He orders you to step out of the vehicle. You refuse. You say, "I know my rights. You cannot make me get out." Here is the reality. In the United States, under the Supreme Court ruling in Pennsylvania versus Mims from 1977, a police officer has the legal authority to order the driver of a lawfully stopped vehicle to exit the car for officer safety reasons. If you refuse that order, even if you believe it is wrong, you can be physically removed from the vehicle, arrested, and charged with obstruction. This is the danger of partial knowledge. You might know that police need a warrant to search your car. You are right. But you might not know that they can legally order you to step out. And that gap in knowledge, that one missing fact, puts you in handcuffs. Scenario 3. You are at a crime scene as a bystander. A captain tells you to move back behind the police line. You argue. You say you live nearby and want to see what is happening. You refuse to move. The captain now has the authority and often the legal obligation to have you removed. If you resist physically in any way, the charge escalates from simple obstruction to resisting arrest. In some states, resisting arrest is a felony. A felony, that is not just a night in jail, that is potentially years in prison, loss of voting rights, loss of the right to own a firearm, difficulty finding employment for the rest of your life. The consequences are not theoretical, they are real. They happen to real people every single day across the United States. Now let us go deeper, because the legal consequences are only one part of this story. There is also the human element, the psychology of what happens when you are standing face to face with a police captain and your emotions take over. Research in behavioral psychology consistently shows that when people feel their autonomy is being threatened, when someone in authority gives them a command, the brain's natural response is often resistance. It's called psychological reactance. It's the feeling of, "you cannot tell me what to do." It's a deeply human response, and in many situations in life, acting on that feeling is perfectly fine, with your boss, with your parents, with a difficult neighbor. But with a police captain in an active law enforcement situation, that instinct, that healthy human instinct, can become the most dangerous thing in the room. Here's the hard truth. It does not matter if the captain is wrong. It does not matter if you are right. The street is not the courtroom. The moment of confrontation is not the moment to win the argument. The courtroom, where a judge, your lawyer, and the law all work together, that's where you win, not on the sidewalk at 11 o'clock at night. The wisest thing many legal experts, civil rights attorneys, and former police officers all agree on is this: comply first, challenge later. Obey the order in the moment unless it puts your physical safety in immediate danger, and then fight the legality of that order in court. because you cannot appeal a broken collarbone, but you absolutely can appeal an unlawful arrest, and you can win. Your rights in the United States are real, they are powerful, and they are worth protecting, but there is a right way and a wrong way to assert them. The right way: stay calm, speak clearly and slowly, use simple, clear language. Do not raise your voice, do not make sudden movements. If you want to assert your rights, say something like, "Officer, I am going to comply with your request, but I want to state clearly that I do not consent to this search, and I am doing this under protest." That sentence does 3 things at once. It keeps you physically safe, it protects your legal rights, and it gives your attorney something to work with later in court. The wrong way: argue loudly, refuse physically, walk away from an officer who has commanded you to stop, or challenge the captain's authority in a tone or manner that escalates the situation. None of those things protect your rights. They only endanger your body and your future. You also have the right to ask, calmly, "Am I free to go?" If the officer says yes, you may leave quietly. If the officer says no, then you are being detained, and you should comply while clearly stating you are doing so under protest and wish to speak with an attorney. Knowing these phrases, practicing them, remembering them in a high-stress moment, that's what separates people who walk away from a police encounter with their rights intact from people who walk away in handcuffs. So, what really happens if you disobey a police captain in the United States? The honest answer is this: it depends entirely on what order you refuse, how you refuse it, where you are, and what kind of situation you're in. If you refuse an unlawful order calmly and clearly, you may be exercising your constitutional rights. If you refuse a lawful order, you may be walking directly into a criminal charge that follows you for years. The American legal system is enormous, it's complex, it's sometimes unfair, but it's also navigable if you understand it. The people who suffer the most in police encounters are not usually the people who knew their rights and used them wisely. They're the people who acted on emotion without knowledge, in a moment of fear or anger or pride. Knowledge is not just power in this situation. Knowledge is protection. Knowledge is freedom, because the officer standing in front of you on that street knows the law, and if you don't, you are already at a disadvantage before the conversation even begins. Learn the law, know your rights, comply calmly, challenge legally, and never, never let a moment of anger on a dark street cost you years of your life. If this video helped you understand something you didn't know before, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more videos that break down the law in plain, clear language, because information like this could one day protect you or someone you love. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.